So a couple minutes to just touch on the COVID-19 issues. At first, it was estimated that COVID was going to increase total spend by 7%. And then that was amended to suggest that spending is actually going to be down by 4%. Why? All the almost universal ban on elective procedures and everything else other than COVID treatment has been way down. I haven't just been growing a beard. I haven't been going to see any physicians or doing anything that would prompt medical expenses, nor have almost anyone else who is sheltering at home. So overall, the cost is probably going to be down. The problem is in these programs, a lot of these programs, risk adjustment is not necessarily going to be the answer. If there's a delay in diagnosis, it could lead to overutilization when all these patients return, which is going to make it challenging. And it could be a sicker case mix when they do come back into the system. ACOs at first said, absolutely not. We're going to drop out of these programs because we lose that predictability. CMS came back and said, well, here's what we'll do for you. We will extract all COVID-related expenses, could even be a windfall in the short term, but we're also going to allow most ACOs, MSSPs are in track B, no risk. We will give you the option to extend track B for another year. So no risk for another year, and that goes for everyone else. If you want to stay in your track for another year, you can. Not enough. Many organizations said, why don't you give us a little bit more? I would be surprised if CMS came back and gave any more, but with OCM and BPCI, still no feedback or guidance. There's a big date coming up for the OCM program on whether or not groups want to take risk. A lot of people assumed CMS would come back with guidance prior to that date. A lot of work has to be done in preparation for that, and if the rules are going to change, a lot of this work may be done in vain, but there's very significant issues that are not simple. In OCM, a lot of groups bailed out of the program because they didn't want to take two-sided risk. Others are on two-sided risk. Others are staying with no risk. It's very hard to make a blanket rule in OCM that's not going to impact or, basically penalize certain decisions that were made pre-COVID. There's obviously a lot that can be done, but once they make this rule, it's final. So I guess it makes sense that there's a lot of deliberation about it. We do think OCM is going to be extended. This is my guess, but it's an educated guess that OCM will probably add a performance period and be extended by 6 months. A lot of people are calling for a year because as soon as OCM ends, OCF begins. That's a successor program. And a lot of groups were already calling for the extension of that program. So that may start rather than July 1st of 2021, January 1st of 2022 or July 1st of 2022, yet to be determined. Last comment on BPCI. You're in this program because you have a certain number of elective procedures. So let's say you do 100 procedures, 98 are elective. Under BPCI, under COVID, you're going to say, well, big deal. Now I just had 2 cases instead of 100. Basically, everything else stays as is. But in all likelihood, those 2 are emergency cases, trauma cases, and those are going to be the higher cost drivers. So if you don't trust risk adjustment to make up for that, it could be problematic. So I'm going to end there because I know we're running up against a hard stop, and Robert's very specific about me ending on time.